Hey, what's up? I'm Indonero.
And I'm Chase Nichols.
We're here today at Mount Shasta Retreat Center for an amazing conference with a bunch of amazing speakers. We've got Laura Eisenhower, Corey Goode, Michael Sala.
I want to talk. And we're just having fun asking people some questions. As Indon just mentioned, we had an amazing, and I would add, a dynamic group of speakers at this conference. But in this video, we're actually going to be focusing on some of our participants, their motives for showing up at this event, and their experiences that led them here.
Yeah. I'm Allison G. I'm from Seattle, Washington, and I've seen every single episode of Cosmic Disclosure, so that's kind of what brought me here. When I first started watching it in September of 2015, of course, I thought, oh, this is kind of some conspiracy mumbo jumbo, but I decided to give it a chance and watch the free content. And the one thing that really made me say, like, holy crap, and I started to pay a lot closer attention to what Cosmic Disclosure and people like Stephen Greer was saying, is that Corey was describing the tests that he had to do in elementary school. And I had to do some of those same tests. They seemed academic, but I was a really bright kid, and my parents later on, when I asked them about these tests, they said school sent us a letter notifying us they'd give you these tests, and they told me that I would get sent to a special school for gifted children if I passed these tests. And when I was in second grade, they started administering sessions of these tests to me. They put me in a room with the tests administer, and I'd have to do things that I didn't really understand as a child at the time, but now I look back and I think they're a little bit strange and not really, they kind of masked them as being academic, but they weren't really. It was like they made 7-year-old or 6-year-old put together 3D puzzles and guess things blindfolded, and they asked me strange questions and what words mean, and kind of like a test of virtues kind of questions also. And I didn't end up going to the special school for gifted children, so I asked my parents in the school. They said the school said you didn't pass, but my stepmom later, when I asked her about the test, she said, well, they sent us a letter saying that you got really high marks on these tests, but you weren't what they were looking for. So I'm kind of glad now with Corey's information that I wasn't what they were looking for government training programs at the time. My dad, he kind of knows about some of this stuff, and he said, I'm glad you weren't picked for government training. And so when I heard Corey describing these tests that elementary school, they administer in public school to children, I was like, oh my gosh, this is not conspiracy BS mumbo jumbo. This guy's talking about real stuff. And so I watched every single episode since then, and that's what brought me here.
My name is Andrew Fisher. I'm from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I dragged my fat ass across here. Well, I got some help from airplanes, but brought my fat ass over here because secret space has been something that I've always been into since, well, when I was young. I seem to recall taking out UFO books out of the school library, and it seemed like I was the only person who was actually interested in that sort of stuff. And I've always been fascinated with astronomy and spiritual stuff. The metaphysical field and secret space, they seem to go hand in hand, and this setting is the perfect setting to talk about those two kinds of things. And well, disclosure has to happen soon. It's already happening, but official disclosure, it seems like the common excuse is, well, we can't tell the world because the world's going to go nuts. There's going to be chaos in the streets. People are going to commit suicide because they can't handle the truth. And I find that excuse to be utterly ridiculous. And people like me with my Blog Talk radio show, Nature of Reality Radio on Blog Talk, if anybody wants to tune in, have the job of exposing things like this. And like I said, this is the perfect atmosphere, because I am a nature lover, for a secret space conference, which is an area that's a general hobby of mine. I've watched all those secret space conference videos on YouTube. Secret Space Conference YouTube channel is one that I subscribe to, and they recently uploaded a whole series of videos. So just keep just keep getting information, folks out there. Just keep doing your research. Use proper discernment, because there's a lot of disinformation in this field. UFOs, ETs, and all that. Definitely a lot of disinfo thrown out there. So discernment at the highest level is of the utmost importance.
My name is Richard Eagle, like the bird.
All right.
E-A-G-L-E.
What brought you here, Richard?
Well, we drove up from Tucson because I wanted to listen to the beautiful lectures we have here, Mr. Goode, and everyone that's going to be here. I wanted to be up in Mount Shasta and hear current information regarding, you know, the special ops projects. And I'm an old Trekkie, so I definitely belong here with my people. It's a nice place to come and share, you know, right under the base of the great holy mountain, Mount Shasta. And I anticipate some visitations. And down in Tucson, we have things going on, but they're a little slow right now. So I think this is the best place for this weekend.
Visitations like mother-in-law?
Yeah, well, I avoid that one because I didn't get married, but in the Cheyenne tradition, we're not allowed to actually speak to our mother-in-law.
Really?
Not allowed to. But I've been listening to all the interviews.
The ancient wisdom
Yes.
at play.
I've been listening to the interviews with Corey Goode, and I'm really looking forward to hearing him. And Miss Eisenhower, I'm looking forward to hearing, you know, the beautiful words and what's going on. Because I am from born in the early 50s, we do remember that there was someone visiting the White House back then, and we all kind of wondered what it was. So now I get a chance to hear some real info.
Right on. Cool. Thank you.
Tom Cox, or Thomas Cox, coming from Tucson. Curiosity, and I'm also writing a book, a novel, to do with the whole world of exopolitics, science fiction, non-fiction, sort of. So engage in that process right now. So I'm very curious because of the nature of that, everything I can learn about this subject matter, in essence.
How long have you been studying like the exopolitics?
I don't know, about 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was there anything that triggered you, like, that led you into that? Like, any experiences that led you into that?
Well, the guy who's traveled here with me, who you were just speaking with, has had some pretty remarkable experiences, according to his stories, with some various, how shall I say, exopolitical beings. So you know, it's been a greatly intriguing process to look more deeply into things as a result of meeting him. So, yeah.
What's your name? What's your age? Where'd you come from?
Makara.
Makara.
Yeah, Makara. Kind of my soul name.
Awesome.
And I'm kind of ageless. And I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Wonderful.
And I have had, since I was 13 years old, I've had ships of all different kinds come in broad daylight and hover over my head, and we communicate with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Telepathically?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Awesome.
My first was a Venusian scout ship.
Cool.
That my best friend Jeff, this was in Ohio actually, not where I live now, but in Ohio, and we looked up and this bell-shaped ship was hovering 100 feet over our head in broad daylight. And my best friend Jeff, he's saying, like, I feel so much love, I feel like I'm going to turn into a ball of pure love. And I said, yeah, and I said, do you realize we can never go back to being who we were? This changes our reality completely.
Is that how you knew it was Venusian?
It's an energy signature. Mm-hmm. And I knew because what they said was telepathically from the ship. They said, remember, you made us promise to come and awaken you now, so you can walk with conscious awareness and help your brothers and sisters remember what unique and beautiful part of Creator and creation they are. And so it's kind of a pact that we have, you know, so that I can walk with conscious awareness. And so my whole life, for 50 years, I've been disclosing, you know, without worrying about judgment, just staying in that space of love and letting the truth that flows from that love, you know, come forward. And so that's been my joy, know. And I never worried about what people thought, you know, and delivered it with love and compassion and caring about my brothers and sisters, you know, so they can remember their beauty and the truth of their beingness, you know. And so then, you know, I've been living for 7 years in a cabin in the wilderness, up in the mountains, and I have ships come from all over, and they come in broad daylight. I have photos of them hovering.
Amazing.
And some of them are ambassadors, some of them are Pleiadians, Arcturians, you know, but all benevolent, loving, you know, beings. And they telepathically tell me that they're inner earth beings, fifth dimensional, blue race beings that live inside, you know, entrances inside to what we call Shambhala, and all these different words. Yeah. So it's very tactile for me, you know, and to me it's like to bring it into the third dimension, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So that we can all get a hold of it and
Most definitely.
be real, you know, with it.
And spread that.
Yeah,
Share that.
spread that. Yeah, share that.
Be that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've had death experiences where I've died twice and went through the tunnel of light to the other side, and my angels, my guides greeted me and said, you know, we're assigned to you, we're your angels. And everybody has them, and we're yours, but you guys all have amnesia down there. And said, come on over, you're dying to know the truth.
Do you feel like after your near-death experiences, do you feel like you had a stronger connection between both worlds, maybe as in dimensions?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Did you have sightings before your near-death experiences, or was it all after?
No, I had sightings starting at 13 years old, and then I died when I was 19 of cancer. So I took, the hardest part was the year and a half of wasting away till I weighed 80 pounds, and then you know, it was just that process of surrendering and leaving, and basically what I experienced first when I went through the tunnel of light was there's no time there, and it was this infinite tapestry of love that I was one with. And it's like if you're a strand interwoven in that infinite tapestry of love, then you are it, you're one with it. But I still had an individualization of perception
Of your thread.
of my thread. Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yet I'm the whole too, right?
Yes.
And then what I was shown is the birth of my soul, and so it's like the first thing I experienced was infinite space. That I was this group consciousness, and I was infinite space that went on forever. And the best way I can describe it is we were holding up planets and some of those original creations, and it was like a mother holding their infant, right? And it was this total infinite love. And then I remember being like an avian being, and I was indigo blue, and I had wings, and so I could fly. It's like I was a finger that came out of that infinite space, more individualized than that collective. And then I could fly anywhere in creation. You know, I didn't really have a planet. I didn't have a perception that I had a place. It's like all place was through that love we're all one with and connected. And so then it was kind of an evolution. And then I remember being in the seventh dimension of the Cassiopean system, a place that my soul likes to call home. And I was a collective consciousness with groups of beings like myself. And then I remember coming to Venus, to the sixth dimension. And it's not really linear. It's really all a simultaneous, in all places to all places kind of experience, you know, outside of time.
Yes.
And then I remember having incarnations on Venus, and then a call came out to come here. That was my perception, to come to Earth and happened to be part of this Earth project and to serve, you know. And so to me, all I know is service through love. And once you've experienced that love, it's like, I serve that. I don't need to serve an ego, because we are that, and there's nothing bigger than that, right? So it's like, I've never felt any. I don't even really care if I have a name. Wherever I go in the world, I just let people name me, and then I'm that, and why I'm Rakawa, you know. But Makara is my soul name.
My name is Marta, and what brought me to this event feels to me like everything in my life has brought me to this point. And it has the full meaning of my life, coming here to commune and unify with like-hearted people, like-minded people, people that I feel have always been wanting to know the truth about what it actually means to be human and what is actually going on in this evolutionary process. And we come because we realize that there's an awakening happening, and there is a powerful unification of hearts on this planet of all people and our star relatives. So there's an incredible awakening going on the planet, and there's a hunger for truth, and there's a hunger for direct experience of what it means to be human. And we want to live the fullest of who we are. We want to discover the depths of what we are. We want to live it fully. And we want to be part of this awakening. We want to be part of opening our hearts and feeling unification. We want to feel our connectedness with Earth and with Spirit and with our star relatives and our inner Earth relatives. We are unifying because we are here for the common good and the greater good, and we care. We care about this Earth, and we care about each other, and I think in all of our hearts we want to see something beautiful really unfold on this Earth with humanity. And I have just the most immense gratitude for the courage that it takes for people like Corey, Michael, Laura, Rob to really stand up and be out there with something that is very hard for people to understand and believe. But now we have documentation backup. And people with who are very credible also coming forward and validating the truth of what these folks are talking about. And personally, when I was really young, I couldn't understand civilization. So I sold my car and everything, and I went into the wilderness because the only thing that I felt that I could trust was the sky and the trees and the mountains. And I went to northern Canada and I walked for hundreds of miles. And I just talked to the trees and the sky and Creator. And then I had a series of mystical experiences and a near death that showed me divine love on an immense level. that this is where we come from and where we return. And it is our evolutionary imperative to raise our own frequency, to join this frequency of nature, the laws of nature, each other, our hearts, for this evolutionary process. And also in these visionary experiences, I experienced some massive global events. And so I understand at a very profound level the nature of our evolutionary process. I also highly encourage people to investigate into human design, which is our genetic encoding. It's what we are. It's what we've evolved to from billions of years of evolution. It's how we can understand who and what we are, not only as a whole, but each individual, what our part in the whole is. And how to integrate and synergize with other people, how to relate on an energy frequency level that feels right, that feels healthy, that feels natural, beyond our conditioning, getting right to the core of what we are and who we are and why we're here and what our part is. So we need our practices, we need our prayers, we need each other, and we need to be courageous to step forward with who we are and what we can offer.
One thing that really struck me about the people at this event is that they all seem to be genuinely heart-centered. They all seem to have genuinely either had their own experiences that led them there or knew somebody that had the experiences. They came from all walks of life. These people were teachers, business owners, nurses, construction workers. Some of them worked in Hollywood, and none of them seemed to be there for any kind of novelty. They were really truly there to connect with others, and that really touched me. It ended up being a much more powerful experience than I could have ever imagined. So I thank these people so much for sharing their stories, because I know it takes a certain amount of courage to talk about these things. And thank you all so much for watching.